services, the second and the third that I mentioned, you already took action on about a year and a half ago. You did that in November of 13 to approve that so you could certify it to the TIF district. You did an interfund loan at that time, and so the goal is now to pay back that interfund loan so that it comes off your books. The original intent was to get that paid back by June 30th of 2015. So we're paying that back, and then that'll be paid for with TIF funds as we go forward. I know in your council packets you have information on the 2 bond issues that we are proposing. The reason we are proposing 2 bond issues is because we know that you have a lot of conversations still to be had on your municipal or police station building, as I believe bids came in a little higher than anticipated on that, as well as sidewalk and street improvement conversations. So again, tonight setting a date of public, or tonight holding a hearing on not to exceed. So you're not going to borrow any more than this, but you can always borrow less than what we're talking about. Part of this first bond issue is the $2.2 million that we plan to sell on April 27th, and the 2.2 is made up of the interfund loan that we must repay, the current refunding of the 2007 notes that we talked about. Also on that list is street projects from 2014. So you did projects in 2014. Basically, because of a change in administration, we did not get into the bond market at that time, and so you're going back and repaying yourself. You're carrying a negative balance in that capital and that capital project. So you're going to repay yourself, so that looks good then back in your audits, and it shows that you've repaid yourself. We also have on there partial street projects, and then we do have the sidewalk project. I know that there's been a lot of conversation here this evening, so what we're proposing for the sidewalk and the street together is $913,000 for the sidewalk and $438,000. I do want to point out that, again, when you do a public hearing like this and when we sell bonds, altogether the money that we're talking about will be sold on one bond issue. So if for any reason the council changes or adjusts your plans for the sidewalk project, that is okay. If you've issued the money for it, it is essential, just like the street projects. You will have held the hearings on the street projects, and you could divert money to the street project very easily with no other action at that time. So I would encourage you to proceed forward with all of the hearings tonight and the resolutions for this project, because what you're doing is basically saying that you're getting you to the point where you can make final decisions on if you're going to proceed forward and at what level you're going to proceed forward.
Okay. Why would we want to borrow $913,000 if we make adjustments to the sidewalk project? I mean, okay. Then we've got the money, and when you've got the money, you spend the money.
You do. So the other thing to look at is the second bond issue that we're projecting would include the police station and remaining street projects at $1.1 million. So there's street projects that we're not including in this original bond issue of $1.1 million. Basically, we were limiting your first issue to $2.2 million. At $2.2 million, we can sell the bonds non-rated. That's a cost of issuance that the city doesn't have to incur. That's a cost of issuance that would go each and every time you had a bond sale. So it was our decision and recommendation that we limit the bond size to $2.2 million. So ultimately, if you're not comfortable with the term sidewalk projects on this original bond issue, we can change that. We can move sidewalk projects to the second bond issue and put all the street projects, or put the majority of the street projects. We can just switch out the 913, but the goal was to get financed certain parts of certain projects and then leave the 1.1 million of street projects still go. So again, I completely understand every purpose will be on the $2.2 million bond issue. So whether or not you spend that 913 on sidewalks, or you just spend it on the street projects that you have to do for more than 913, that will be your choice and decision to do that. I hope that answers your question.
So where you have on Series 2015B and you have 1,181,000,
yeah.
If for some reason the sidewalk project changed, we could use that 913,000 in lieu of borrowing the whole 1,181,000.
That's correct.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. When we put together our official statement that you'll be approving at your April 13 meeting. It will include all the essential purposes that we've talked about tonight. It will include streets, it will include sidewalks, it will include water, sewer, all things combined, so that you can choose to spend the money. Then it will be a conversation before we do that second bond issue, how much you've spent, what does your sidewalk project look like, and do we need to borrow for those sidewalks or not at that time?
I have one question, and I'm not on that committee. Is the sidewalk, that 913, is that including the curb and gutter?
It's a curb gutter sidewalk project,
Okay.
100%. It's a combined.
Can we do the curb and gutter without some of the sidewalk?
Without some of the sidewalk,
I mean, can we make a cut so that we don't go farther back than we have to on the curb and gutter?
yes,
Okay,
yes, there,
I'm just asking that.
yes.
So tonight, again, you're holding your hearing on this not to exceed amount. You would always issue less. We will not issue that second bond issue until we know exactly what those costs entail, whether those are street projects still or those are sidewalk projects, but that's kind of where we're at tonight. I will stick around on your agenda for your 3 resolutions, or your 4 resolutions under number 5, just in case you have any questions from a legal standpoint. But again, it would be our recommendation that you move forward on those resolutions so that it gets you to the point where further decisions can be made. Without moving forward on those, you could potentially end the conversation altogether and have to start the process over from day one. So,
Thank you
Anything
very
else?
much.
thank you.
Any other comments? Otherwise, I need a motion to close the public hearing and receive and file oral and written comments.
I'll make a motion.
Motion from Lenius, second by Vaughn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. I'll now need a motion to adopt the resolution.
Mayor, we do have that under resolutions, just a little bit further down on the agenda.
I
Or
moved
do-
it up and put
Oh,
it under
okay.
there. Sorry, because we're
Yeah,
in
no,
the
that's
hearing.
all right.
Okay.
I think you've already adopted
That's
the
fine.
resolution hearings.
Okay.
I think you did that right before the
Right,
public hearing, so.
okay, go ahead.
Okay? So I need a motion. Motion to adopt the resolution.
I'll make a motion.
Motion from Grover, seconded by
I'll second.
Lanius. Roll call, please.
Holland,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Dallenbach,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Okay, next on our agenda is, I got several pages here. This is scary. So do I need to read this whole thing? Okay. Resolution approving said award of contract to Jensen Builders LTD in the amount of $418,087.50 in conjunction with the snow removal equipment building project within the City of Independence, Buchanan County, Iowa, and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute said document. Need a
And-
motion and a second.
We do have the folks from Bolton and Mink here that
Right.
have led us through this project. I don't know if Greg has any comments.
Not unless there's any questions.
I guess I have some questions. I did go through, I went through your comments and everything, and I see that it has increased substantially from the previous estimate. I guess I have a real concern that it's gone up so much, and in fact, it's actually a smaller building, I think, than was previously thought of in 2011, going back. It's my understanding that it
Well,
was.
one reason we had to lower the size of the building was because the FAA would not let us put equipment in that had not been purchased with federal funds. And the original plan drawn up many years ago had been to put some equipment in there that had been purchased with funds other than federal funds. So that's why the building became smaller. The problem with the price going up is that that quote is probably 4 or 5 years old, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm
Mm.
not,
Was
not
to-
aware of a previous quote, I guess, that you got.
was under a previous engineer at the airport. So,
Plus, our share was 5% at that time, and now
Right.
it's about 17.
10.
Yeah, but
What
according
we
to what I figured up, it's 17.
What we recommended today, just to give you a little bit of background, we did open bids on March 3rd. We received one bidder from Jensen, and it was higher than our engineer's estimate. So then the FAA asked us to proceed through a 4-step process. I kind of outlined that in the memo. So the first thing we do is we talk to all the people who were holding bids and talk to them why they didn't bid, and that list was included, so you can see that. Then we look at plans and specifications to make sure there was nothing in there that was restricted to competition, that we were trying to eliminate people. The FAA reviewed those, we reviewed those, the city reviewed those, and determined that there was nothing in those plans that restricted competition. Then we look at the unit price analysis and try to determine, okay, why did these bids come in higher? I can talk a little bit more about that if you would like. And then the fourth one, the FAA, what they state is to enter into negotiations with the contractor, see if we can lower prices. Per Iowa state law, we're not allowed to do that. We have to wait until we've actually entered into a contract with the contractor before we can even attempt to lower those prices. So that could be one thing. If the council does decide to accept this contract with Jensen, then we can go talk to Jensen and say, okay, are there any ways that we can lower this cost? I can't guarantee there will be, but that could be a conversation we can have after that contract's been awarded. We're not allowed to do that prior to.
I gotta tell you that from a business standpoint, that seems a little bit backwards.
I'm
I
aware
mean,
of that, but that's state
Still
law.
state
After you give them a contract, why would they ever negotiate down?
I did read some of those